So if you're listening to this, chances are you're unsure about either sexuality or gender, or maybe both, or maybe one and you figured out the other. Either way, this audio track will not assume anything. Instead, I'm going to talk about why it's okay not to know yet, whatever those things may be. I'll have sections where I talk about sexuality. I'll have sections where I talk about gender. I hope you find this kind of thing useful. So, let's start with sexuality. This is a tricky one. I don't talk about this kind of thing very often in these kind of audios. Usually my stuff's very trans focused, so I thought to put this one first because it's kind of new. So the purpose of this track is to let you know. So if you have no idea what your sexuality is, or you think maybe you know but you're not quite sure, I just want to let you know that it's okay to feel that way. I know there's a feeling, like a burning feeling to like finally figure it out and that kind of thing. It's easy to feel rushed. I mean, especially as people around you start having relationships. People ask you pretty directly why you haven't done it yet. And the thing is, relationships, well, you gotta know your sexuality before you do that kind of thing, you know? You gotta know what feels right before you can find the right person. Well, for some people. And there's some people, a demi, for example, and everything makes sense once they find that special someone that clicks for them, you know? When people are demi, they're attracted to a specific person they have an emotional connection with. And it can be hard to figure that out without that person in front of you, right? It's possible though. Very possible. If you happen to be straight, it can still be a discovery to figure out you're straight. You don't have to feel happy that you figured it out, and you don't have to feel shame for figuring out you're straight either. If you hang out with a lot of queer people, maybe you feel pressure to not be straight, but you gotta do whatever gender feels right. I mean, I'm just so used to saying gender because I do so many trans audios, my bad. That you can like whatever you want to like, okay? You can like any gender, and it's okay. If you happen to be straight and you hang out with a lot of queer people, that's fine. Of course, that's fine. Yeah, maybe you get a bit of a rude comment from people. They're kind of like, you go, oh, by the way, I'm straight, and then they do the whole, like, I'm so sorry, and it's like, that's kind of mean. Why do we say that to people, you know? And I know that if someone is trans, for example, discovering a straight can be kind of complicated. Well, straight in relation to the gender you identify as. For example, a trans girl discovering she likes boys, and maybe a trans guy discovering he likes girls, that sort of thing. That can have its own nuance, because chances are you grew up being expected to like one gender, and then when you grew older and were able to do express yourself, then suddenly you're expected to like someone else, a different gender. It can make it kind of difficult to figure out what you actually like. And I know that especially online, there's a really big prevalence of like lots of trans lesbians lately, and I think that's pretty cool that they're able to finally feel safe, you know? That's the reason they've seemingly popped out of nowhere. It's because they were gatekept by people in the past, or many of them pretended to be straight just to get their HRT. So know that if you happen to be cis or trans and you happen to be straight, that's okay. If you happen to be demi, of course that's okay. And of course, a certain amount of nuance to being either gay or bi or pan. Whether you're cis or trans, being gay, bi or pan can be complicated. It can be its own journey because of the expectations of other people. And let me assure you, you don't have to look gay, you don't have to sound gay, you don't have to whatever, right? Technically that's not a thing. We socially construct stereotypes, but even if people tell you that you look really straight, you're allowed to be gay, bi, pan, etc. And the same goes to straight people that look stereotypically gay. You can be straight too. That's fine. Stereotypes just harm us. When being lesbian, gay, bi, pan, it's hard to go against what people expect of you. I can relate to that with my gender. I'm a trans girl, so I started living as a gender people didn't want me to live as. And in that sense, I can relate to what people that are gay, bi, and pan kind of feel. Maybe you have a lot of pressure. Maybe a lot of people are expecting you to walk down the aisle with a certain gender. They planned out your whole life for you. But that's not you. They imagined someone else. And it's okay to not be what people expect you to be. If you're a girl and you like girls, that's okay. If you're a guy and you like guys, that's okay. And of course, non-binary people, you can like whoever you like. That's perfectly fine. You know? It doesn't define you. It doesn't negatively affect who you are on the inside. It's just a part of you. It's not all of you. It's just a part of you. And that's okay. As for me, with sexuality, I am unsure, I admit. That's why I want to make this audio that it's okay if you don't know. It's okay. Because, I don't know. And I don't have to. I understand there's expectations put on me. I mean, I remember as a teenager I was simultaneously expected to date boys and also expected to date girls at the same time. Because I was starting to transition, but not to everybody. So everyone had different expectations at the same time, lumped together. You'd think that means you'd be very comfortable to date whoever, but I don't know. It kind of made it more confusing. But I think the hard thing to accept for myself, and I have to understand that my entire, I guess, job as a YouTuber or audio person is that when I got my very start making this kind of stuff, I made lots of like lesbian sapphic like date audios. That's a lot of what I do. I admit I scaled those back because on YouTube I can't really decide who listens, right? I want to play it safe and keep the audio safe for work because there's a very large age group watching and I feel like I need to be responsible if I'm going to post here, you know? I feel like that's my responsibility. To not hide queer things from people, but present them in a way that's safe for everybody. If that makes sense. So, the context for me is that when I was a teenager, I did date a girl for a couple of years. We broke up because, well, she wanted a boy. And, I couldn't be that, you know? It was on good terms. I'm thankful. She was really sweet. But I worry that in retrospect, I saw her as a friend instead of a girlfriend. And that makes you think, I guess. So if I go a bit further, once I started to dress like a girl a bit more consistently, suddenly boys are interested in me. I admit it was quite a shock. It was a lot. Yeah, I found guys are a lot more forward about their attraction. No shade, of course. Some of them are really sweet. Some of them weren't. Just how it goes. But I've had some experiences, some that I was okay with, some that I wasn't, to say the least. So that was a very tough thing, I guess. I don't think I was ready for the stuff that was put down. And years later, I started this little YouTube channel. I did Reddit much longer, but most people know the YouTube now. And that's okay. When I started, I felt like my content was very aimed at lesbians, trans lesbians. And I noticed in myself that maybe I wasn't a lesbian. Maybe I didn't like girls that way. I don't know. I'm suspecting that I don't. And I'm sorry if that disappoints anyone. Or if there was an expectation of me. I felt like I had to be a trans sapphic icon, TM, whatever. I mean, in a lot of comments or streams, there'll always be a lot of messages like, yeah, we love gay people, in reference to me, and it's like, would they still like me if I said I wasn't? I don't know. I actually don't have the answer to what my sexuality is. I think I might like boys, but I don't think I've had enough experience to really know, I guess. Because all the experience I did have, I had at a kind of bad time. But I don't seem to get attracted to individuals very often. Like, there's a possibility that I might be ace or asexual. That's possible. I don't know yet. Like, I read all sorts of romance stories of, like, you know, like the shy girl, like, meeting some, like, jock guy with muscles and is taller, and I always gravitated to those kind of romance stories. I always wondered why. But then, when I meet people for real that fit that criteria, I don't know, I get scared. I don't know how to talk to them. I don't know how to feel about them. So, even if I've been aware of sexuality stuff for a very long time, and I'm very thankful I was exposed to knowing so many queer people very young, so had people as preferences. But I always didn't fit in that sense. Like, in the 2010s, a lot of LGBT culture is more so concentrated on the LGB part. You know, rainbow flags. Yay, we love the gays. That kind of ally energy. And when I tried doing pride events with friends, I don't know, I didn't feel like I should have been there. I wonder why. Maybe I'm straight. Maybe I'm just ace, and I'm not concerned with that kind of thing. I don't know. I really don't. But I want to let anyone know that maybe feels a similar way or a different way, and any way that you maybe feel out of place because of sexuality. I want to let you know it's going to be okay. Okay? It's true. I don't know my sexuality right now. I've been figuring it out, but I'm just confused sometimes. But that's okay. I still live the life that I live, you know? Play games with friends. I do my best at university now. I went out to karaoke recently. It was really fun. A few months ago I did a water slide holiday. That was incredible. Life goes on even if you don't know. You don't have to rush into anything. Okay? You can be whoever you want to be. Okay? And if you fall in love someday, it's allowed to be with whoever you want, you know, regardless of gender. But also know, you don't have to fall in love either. You never had to. Promise. So, that was the sexuality section. That was kind of hard for me to share, I won't lie. That was something I thought I'd never say. If I ever do figure it out though, I'll make a video. Yeah. So gender. Gender has its own nuances, right? I mean, experiencing difficulties and not knowing the type of people you're attracted to is one thing. And gender is pretty foundational to who we are, right? I mean, it affects a lot of things around us. But I want to let you know, you don't have to be sure. You don't have to know. I know there's a pressure to figure out things early and whatnot, because media kind of glamorizes those that figured it out young. I understand I'm an example of that. That's probably why the channel got a bit bigger. I think people like that narrative. But we'll let you know, you don't have to figure it out young and that sort of thing. That's not the thing that allows you to be trans. You don't get your trans card just from uttering it as a little toddler. It's fine. Promise. If you figure it out in your 20s, that's fine. 30s, that's fine. 40s, 50s, it doesn't matter. As long as you're still standing or sitting when you're listening to this. As long as you're still here, you're allowed to transition if you want to. And you also don't have to. And you're never locked into anything. Okay? you happen to be younger listening to this, there's a thing called puberty blockers. And I think a misconception is starting puberty blockers begins your transition, no point of return. However, that's not true. Blockers simply block puberty, right? It just does it later. If you go all the way to 18 taking blockers and then you stop taking blockers, you're going to get the puberty you were going to get anyway, right? The thing that actually gives you the puberty of the gender is the hormones itself, right? So if you're unsure, you're allowed to go on blockers and feel it out and then go off them if you don't like it. It doesn't lock you into anything. Okay? It's not as permanent as people act like it is. Heck, even HRT in itself, with either estrogen or testosterone, not gonna lie, that's not really that permanent either. I mean, I gotta still keep going to the doctor and asking for more hormones because, well, I want to keep it going. But it doesn't go forever, right? It's not a thing where you take one hormone and then bam, you're girl forever, right? That's a simplistic way to look at it. I think hormones realistically, like, they're either like a little bit of gel or a little tablet or a syringe. It's literally just a medication you take that makes you more either masculine or feminine. And if you stop taking it, then the hormones your body naturally produces will just take over and slowly change in that way. So it's not permanent. However, if you keep taking HRT, it won't really matter. You'll get the effects you want, you know? But this is just to say that starting HRT is not that permanent. It really isn't. I recommend looking up the effects of HRT, specifically the permanent effects that occur in the first few months, which isn't many, but they're not too insignificant, right? I mean, I can at least speak for when you get estrogen and puberty blockers as an adult. What happens is that, well, you suddenly can't, how do I put it in a YouTube friendly way? When you make babies, the body can produce sperm to create the process. However, as you might guess, taking hormones will make you potentially infertile, which just means you can't create sperm. And that's in the first month or so, but by the time it's been a month, you'll know if you like it. You'll know if you like hormones. Also, you can freeze sperm if you're concerned, and you can still have biological kids if you wish, and you don't have to. As for the trans men, I confess I don't know too much about how your hormones work, but I really recommend looking stuff up. I'd imagine it affects some aspects of infertility, but from my understanding, trans men can still get pregnant. So please be careful, okay? Safe sex and all that. Cool? Cool. Wouldn't want a really dysphoric nightmare to emerge, you know? So, that's the hormone stuff. I recommend, like, imagining, right? That as you go into the bathroom at the start of your day, imagine hormones are just sitting on the table. They're just there, perfectly optimized for your body, but carefully crafted to be safe to consume. And it's just sitting there. Maybe that will guide your decision. If it's just sitting there and all you have to do is swallow some pills and it makes you more feminine or masculine, would you do it? No, I can't answer that for you. Only you can. However, if you still don't know, that's okay. That doesn't invalidate your ability to be trans or be cis, right? You can do what you want. And as you're figuring it out, you're welcome to experiment however you like. You can go ahead in some girls' clothes, some guy clothes, something androgynous. Just try stuff, you know? Just do what feels good. We don't have to think about labels. You can almost imagine gender not existing and just see what kind of stuff you'd want to wear, the kind of voice you'd kind of want, the way you want to present. Those little things, right? Those little things. Yeah. Even after all that and you don't know, that's fine. You'll figure it out when you're ready. It's waiting for you when you have a decision. What that is, can't tell you. You'll figure it out. And similar to what I said in the sexuality section, sounds kind of funny. Anyway, you're allowed to, be trans. You're allowed to be cis. Even if you hang out with a group of queer people, don't feel pressured to go one way or the other. Same goes if you hang out with a lot of cis-het people, like cisgender heterosexuals. Don't feel like you have to do a certain thing either, Otherwise that'd be peer pressure. And I don't want this audio to become peer pressure either. I'm not gonna tell you to do one thing or another. I'm not gonna say egg memes or something. That's not helpful. I think the whole egg IRL thing subreddit, I feel like egg IRL memes are best when you search for them on your own will. That's the only way the whole egg thing really works, right? If someone else sends you egg memes, that doesn't make you an egg. It's only when you search them yourself. Potentially, at least. You never know. And there's all sorts of options. I mean, you don't even have to be a binary girl or a binary boy. You can be non-binary, you can be gender fluid. Which gender fluid just means when you identify as different genders depending on your mood. Yeah, you can just do that if you want. It's fine. There's people that are agender. There's demi boys and demi girls. Like the word demigod, it's kind of functions the same way. You can be like a kind of girl or a kind of boy if that feels right for you. You can do what you want. Promise, right? What kind of inspired this specific audio was recently the YouTuber Finster came out as gender fluid. And I couldn't even imagine what kind of pressure to be a certain gender that YouTuber / streamer would have felt, right? I mean, I feel like a lot of their comment section is just calling them an egg. And I wonder how that felt for them. I'll never know, but at what stage does that become a bit deflating? Don't know. Again, I don't know this person, and chances are you don't either. That whatever pressures you have, you can do what you want, right? There's all sorts of options. I mean, I've met quite a few femboys, and femboys seem chill. I think some of them have some really cool outfits, not gonna lie. Yeah, you can identify that way. You can present femme but identify masc. And by the way, you don't have to be assigned male at birth to be a femboy, okay? To all the trans men that like presenting femme, that's fine. I mean, the word is femboy, right? So if someone identifies as a boy, they can be a femboy. That's fine. That's how they do it. And that's cool. Some people view the term femboy very separately from boy, but that's up to you. Labels are just a shortcut. It's just a quick way to tell you a really complicated experience. Me telling you I'm a trans girl is a lot quicker than me explaining that, oh, when I was born, I was like assigned male at birth, but I didn't really feel right for me, so like over time I started living as a girl. That's not as fast as me just saying trans girl, right? It's a shortcut. It's all it is. Labels don't actually exist. They don't. They're just how we express ourselves. And if you ever thought, am I insert queer term, but I do this thing differently than insert queer term, so I can't be that? No, you're fine. Don't worry. Oh, can I be a femboy if I dress this kind of way? Can I be lesbian if I don't present butch? And it's like, just, of course you can. Do what you want. You know? Whatever your hobbies are, you know, like, as I always say, from the trans femme ballet dancer to the trans femme weightlifter, or valid, right? I quite like ice skating, for example, and I've seen quite a lot of trans men that do ice skating. And I think a lot of them are really talented. I'm glad they kept up the thing they love despite stereotypes, you know? You gotta do what you want to do, okay? And that does apply to, how do I put it? Things that aren't safe for work. The things you enjoy in that context, just letting you know, those things don't affect your gender. So if you fantasize of certain scenarios that feel like they conflict with who you are, it's just a fantasy, you know. You can do whatever you want when no one's looking. You can do whatever you want with a consenting partner. Just do what you want, you know. That's perfectly fine. Just do what you like. You can still be a girl, you can still be a boy, you can still be non-binary. Doesn't matter. Okay? Whatever your hobbies are, whatever you're into, whatever makes you happy. Doesn't matter. You can be whatever you want. And if by this half-hour audio you still don't know, that's okay. Part of me wondered if I'd figure out my sexuality while making this audio. That didn't happen. But it did feel nice to put it to words, you know? Well, I should get going. But remember, you can be whoever you want to be. You don't have to conform to stereotypes. You're not forced to live a certain way. Do what makes you happiest. And follow your heart. If you do that, I think you'll get the results you want. I do believe in you. You're amazing. You're strong. And brave. Bravery comes from doing stuff even when you are scared. I can imagine an audio like this could be a little confronting for some people. Maybe you found something about yourself today. Or maybe you found out something recently, which is why you listened. Or whatever it may be. Thanks for being you. That's the best version of you can be. Authentically yourself. That's what we fight for. And that's what makes it all worth it. As someone once said, you'll figure it out.